So my boy Muhammad decides to fling a chicken nugget at me, and it cleanly strikes me on the shoulder. To which I was like, okay, fair play, Mo. I guess it's time for me to retaliate. So Mo's over at the frying department of the kitchen of Macca's, and I'm at the burger making area. I assess everything that I have at my disposal and notice that I have slices of cheese that we normally supposed to put in the burgers. But on this occasion, I hatched a plan to frisbee said slice of cheese at Mo as a bit of payback for the nugget. So I picked up the slice of cheese, and what I didn't know at the time is if you frisbee a thin slice of cheese, if you get it right, it'll actually go a long way when they frisbee. But if you get it off just a little bit off to the side, if it's not perfectly parallel to the ground, it'll still go a long way, but it'll drift a fair way to the side. So I've picked up this piece of cheese and frisbeed it at my boy Mo, but unfortunately I had a little bit of lean on it and it's drifted way off to the side. It's gone over the front counter at Macca's and landed on some bald dude's head. This bald dude was facing away from the counter and it's gone straight on the back of his head. And the sound that it made is very hard for me to make. Like it was an absolute sound. It was a sound and a half. I can't really make it, but I'll give you a quick recreation of it. Yeah, so it's a great sound. Notice just how clean that is. Listen again. And that sound just echoed through that whole Macca's restaurant. Just one more time. And so I watched all this happen. It was like in slow motion. I just saw it just targeting towards this bald dude's noggin. And as soon as it hit, I quickly ducked down beneath the bench where I was working. And I heard him go, "Oi, who was that?" I was like, "Oh, heck." So I excused myself for a quick toilet break. Because I decided that the best thing for me to do was not be there. So I went to the toilet and I used up, it was a good 15 minutes probably. I decided to really just try and let anything blow over that was out there. And after about 15 minutes, I bravely ventured back out into the Macca's area. And this old dude, he was probably an older, I'd say minimum 50 years old, this guy. Pretty big and quite tall and also big in other dimensions as well. He was a big, bald man. Bit of a Jabba the Hutt, if you will. He's up at the counter just giving my poor manager a bit of a serve. He is not happy. He's quite angry. He's all red and puffed up in the face. And this is what the stitch up is. The piece of cheese is still on his head. And he's getting so angry and he's kind of annoyed. And he was like, "Look, I didn't put the cheese there. I think the person that threw it should have to take it off. That's only fair." And so this is what he's saying. And he refuses to leave the restaurant until the piece of cheese is removed from his head. And so this is quite a predicament that we're in, because I'm not going out there. I'd rather get consumed by the walls of this Mickey D's than go out there and confront this dude. And it's probably been since it was 15 minutes I was in the toilet, and this guy is visibly angry. He's all red and hot in the face. So this cheese, his head is getting a bit heated, and the cheese is actually starting to melt and ooze down the side of his dome. So this just makes me want to go and peel that off even less. So I kind of popped my head out of the toilet and then quickly ducked across into the pantry where I wouldn't be seen. And was just kind of sitting there waiting for it all to blow over. I was actually terrified at this point. And I just, my manager was just talking to him, trying to calm him down. And he was demanding that my manager go into the back and find out who threw the cheese. And I reckon just as my manager was about to come out and start asking questions, this dude's wife, who had actually finished eating ages ago and had gone out to the car, she came back in and started nagging him, "Come on, husband, let's just go. It's not worth it." And so he probably, he's got his wife nagging, but he's still angry at the manager. So after about another 5 minutes of yelling at us, this guy just gives in, grabs a napkin, wipes it off his head, and just storms out the door. The brother was not a happy camper, but he was gone. So that's one win, but now I've got to deal with the manager. So we're all just kind of in the kitchen now, sort of making our burgers and just keeping the stuff, because there were still customers coming while all this was happening. This guy had sort of just been causing a bit of a clog up. So our manager just stares at all of us, absolute stares daggers at us all, and we're all kind of like, oh heck, we're in for it now, especially me, because I know that I'm the one that did it. But I'm actually good mates with all the other workers, so I knew they actually probably wouldn't dob me in. But the manager didn't talk to anyone. He just looked at us and then stormed off into his office, shut the door, and he was in there for about a half an hour. And for those 30 minutes he was in there, we all just worked absolutely silently. The air fryer, the frying up the burgers, we were cooking up chips. We were just silent, effective machine. It was kind of like when you have an accident in your car, or a near accident, and if someone cuts you off or something, and then it's just absolute silence for the rest of the drive as you're like, well, that was lucky, but we made it. So I'd say productivity in the Macca's probably went up by about 30% for those 30 minutes. And then eventually the manager came out and asked me into his office, and at this point I was like, oh, I could be cooked here. And I was genuinely terrified, but at the same time, I didn't love Macca's is not my dream job. This was back when I was a teenager. I was just doing this for a bit of cash. So the manager actually, to his respect, he very calmly showed me some footage of me hurling that cheese. And then he told me that he had no choice but to respectfully terminate my employment at the McDonald's. So that is how my employment at Macca's ended. I had a good run. That cheese did not have a good run. That guy did not have a good run. But it was a good story, so I'll take it.